So it seems that CNN's Jim Acosta is out. He's gone. And I almost made a video on this. I believe that was last week because there were some rumors that he was being pushed from I believe he has a 10 o'clock slot to like 12 at night. The hour in which like nobody is watching television. I always made a story on that or a video on that because it's just absolutely hilarious watching all of these news networks like CNN and MSNBC have to shift things and move things around because their ratings are tanking, which means their money is being drained. If you guys remember, I made a video on CNN, I believe it was CNN, being sued a couple of weeks ago and losing and having to pay a guy millions of dollars. And, CNN's lawyer came out and stated that their evaluation is dropping every single year. Which I find absolutely hilarious, just watching their evaluation just absolutely tank. And then you get the stories of MSNBC forcing someone like Rachel Maddow to come in and have to work every single day versus once or twice a week. And on her new contract, which typically, obviously, when you get a new contract, they typically pay you more, right? Typically. They gave her a pay cut. The number one talent on now, don't get me wrong, she still makes buku bucks. I believe she still will be making about $25 million a year, but her previous contract was $30 million a year, if I remember correctly. They cut it by 5, and I believe Joy Reid's contract was cut by $1 million or something. Like she went from $3 million to $2 million. So instead of making more money, they're all making less money, which I still think they're completely overpaid, especially Rachel Maddow. $20+ million? What? What? To get on television and fake cry and spew out that BS? Man. Crazy. Even Joy Reid, I believe, was overpaid at $2 million. That's just absolutely crazy. Joy Reid is probably only worth about $40,000. And I don't even know if she's really worth that, but hey, just come in for $40,000. I guess we'll keep you on board. But $2 million, crazy numbers. But Jim Acosta is the new one on the chopping block. Well, reportedly, he's stepping away on his own. So the guy just was like, yeah, no, I'm not being banished to the night shift. I'm just going to dip out. So with that being said, let's take a trip down memory lane and watch Jim Acosta get owned a few times. Let's dive in.
For the man who wants to be the governor of South Carolina for another 4 years, that is Henry McMaster. And as you can hear behind me, Wolf, the crowd is very fired up. We have about a couple thousand people in this room so far. They are letting the press corps here know exactly how they feel about what we're doing here, Wolf. I can't hear you anymore. What's that?
Tell the truth, Jim.
I will. You got it. I will.
Do it, and you all did not. You covered it, Jim. Come on, Jim.
All day
long. You gave it the
long.
bare modicum of coverage, and then you went on to trashing Trump or some conservative cause.
I was at the White House covering the first Trump administration when they had rioting outside of the White House. I mean, that was covered on CNN. What you're saying, this is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We're asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now, Jim. Look,
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in
Not
this
at all.
election
No, not
to
at all.
try to keep?
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true.
But
they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. Right. These were people. This was an actual, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was
enough.
going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not
like
a big
the rest
fan of yours either. So
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question, if I can. You repeatedly said
you aren't the best,
Mr. President. You repeatedly over the course.
Okay, just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Mr. President, over the course of the last several days of the campaign.
This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth. It's an alarming choice for a man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists. You recall these moments.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Those words have power. They have meaning. And when Donald Trump speaks, the world listens. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists certainly listen. So why can't he denounce them? Why can't he reject their support?
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
What's your response to Donald Trump saying she should be fired, that Liz Cheney should be fired upon? He keeps speaking in these very extreme terms about the potential dangers to the country if he doesn't win in November. He's used words like bloodbath.
Hey, is this Jim Acosta? Yeah. Wow, fake news, Jim Acosta, everybody.
Oh, geez. Jim, oh, Jim, oh, Jim. Goodness gracious. You know what? I don't even feel bad for the guy. I don't. I really don't. Not at all. I mean, you clearly just saw the clip of this man literally making up stuff. You know, the whole hoax. Trump couldn't denounce white supremacy, but he clearly has plenty of times. Plenty of times. And I've actually posted a compilation video of Trump denouncing white supremacy plenty of times. But of course, people like Jim Acosta want to run with that. The whole bloodbath hoax, right? People like him run with the whole Liz Cheney. Y'all remember mainstream media was trying to run with the Trump wants Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. Total BS. Total BS. But CNN's Jim Acosta is reportedly leaving the network after he was officially pulled from its programming schedule. The Status newsletter reported Monday that Acosta was expected to leave CNN after it was announced last week that his 10 a.m. Eastern time program was being replaced with the Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer and Pamela Brown in the network's latest reshuffling. The newsletter previously reported that Acosta was pitched by CNN CEO Mark Thompson to move him from his 1 hour slot at 10 a.m. Eastern time to a 2 hour slot beginning at midnight. They said, hey, we'll give you 2 hours, but it's going to be in the middle of the night. It's going to be when nobody's paying attention, okay? But we'll give you 2 hours, though, Jim. We'll give you 2 hours. You got more time, man. More time on air, yeah. A far less distinguished place in the lineup One CNN insider told Fox News Digital they heard Acosta struggled with the choice and may be cutting his contract short as a result. It takes courage, the CNN insider said. Another CNN insider was dismayed by Acosta's exit, saying many viewers like Jim. If there is anyone who could make the overnight go, it's him. Adding, it's sad to see him go. A spokesperson for CNN declined to comment. I don't know who in the world is looking forward to watching this guy on their television screens. I've never heard people talk about Jim Acosta. Never. Ever. Has anybody ever heard Jim Acosta's name mentioned outside of, watching him somewhere, right? Nobody's like, yeah, I watched Jim Acosta today. Nobody's saying that. Acosta became more widely known as CNN's chief White House correspondent for his antagonistic relationship with President Donald Trump and his aides during the first Trump administration. Yeah, and you saw a little bit of that in that clip. That's why I wanted to show that. But yeah. It seems like Acosta may officially be on his way out, and I am loving every bit of it. And I'm going to say, don't let the door hit you on the way out, buddy. See ya. Never, because I highly doubt Jim Acosta is going to succeed in the podcasting realm, because that's typically what a lot of these folks try to do afterwards. They go into the podcasting situation afterwards, and I don't think that he has the name notoriety in order to do it. I mean, even somebody like Don Lemon is struggling heavily to garner some type of traction outside of his big news network. So yeah, absolutely hilarious. But hey, this is what they ask for. When you report fake news, people stop watching. The news does not have the power that it once had, and we proved that in this past election back in 2024. We proved that, and we're seeing that in the numbers. We're seeing that in, their viewership ratings. We're seeing that in the reshuffling, right? Them telling people like Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid to take pay cuts, and then, shuffling things around, trying to move Jim Acosta to midnight. Yeah. So I don't feel bad for them. They can continue on with this Trump derangement stuff and Republicans bad, Democrats are the greatest thing since sliced bread. They can continue on with that propaganda stuff, and they will no longer exist in a few more years. So y'all let me know what you think about all of this. Peace and love. I'm out.